Alright, and we are back. I need to find out what happens. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of mine. This time I'm back with Astrea's Broken Heart, Season 2, Episode 2. Y'all, I still can't understand why she's so obsessed with finding Ruth after the BS she pulled, but in my eyes it has to do with Raphael's manipulation. When he went into our mind and kind of manipulated or memories of what he did in the monastery, etc. So maybe that's also kind of like a main memory that served as a chain reaction, and that's why we only remember that Ruth took us to that village and then we don't remember anything else. There's like this huge hole in her memory she don't remember, but she's willing to remember, and we decided to go back. And now let's see what happens. If I remember correctly, the upper voices are here, which means that they actually saw what David did or got a whiff of what he's done. So I don't think it's gonna be great for us. Let's see if CASSIEL is actually gonna react nervously and if he's gonna allow us to go inside the house. Because I have the feeling actually seeing us and seeing the reason why they actually all lost control is not gonna stick well for... I'm just gonna keep on holding on to the theory that they're demons, sort of. And I don't think it's gonna stick well that they actually fell vulnerable for a human. But let's see. There's always someone above. Always. God, angels. Episode 2. No more mercy. Oh no. What happened? Warning, this episode contains violent scenes. Alright, for those that are a little bit more sensitive, leave. Or more like skip. Choking on a mixture of anticipation and fear, Simona followed CASSIEL. Oh, we're allowed to go inside. She looked at her feet, not daring to raise her eyes. The house she had abandoned gazed down on her from above. The front doors were shut tight, hiding its innards from her. A broken heart, lungs clogged with unspoken words. Me. They accepted me and I ran away like a coward. I wouldn't use coward, but you did zoom out. The man who had tried to drive her away on her first day now opened the doors and let her in. Simona took a deep breath, inhaling the smell of the house. She felt her heart smell with a dangerous feeling, hope. It beaconed to her like a flickering candle at the end of the hallway, promising warmth and comfort. As long as this candle doesn't fall and this house doesn't burn to the ground with all of us in it. Damn! Is everything all right? Let's ignore. CASSIEL noticed her hesitation and stopped. Yes, I'm just... I need to stick to one. But I feel the need to highlight. I'm glad we're back. But actually knowing that the higher-ups are here would actually have my fear take the upper hand, because I am a nervous wreck, okay? Happens. So I would have to go with I'm a little nervous, especially since we zoomed out after everything they've done for us and we just felt the need to actually zoom out and then view them as like the enemy. I would feel a little bit shameful. I did say that I felt shameful towards Mikael last episode. Now let's see, a little nervous. History is repeating itself and I don't want to end the same way. It's not, Simona. We're all moving forward. Not your higher-ups, they're not. CASSIEL was not a wordsmith. He preferred silence or physical contact, and I appreciate that very, very much. Both seemed inappropriate now, and he didn't know how else to support Simona. Stop, CASSIEL. Tense, he searched for words as he gripped the door handle. When the words finally came, he spoke them with an unusual softness. He actually is trying to force himself out of his shell in order to comfort us. Now that's one of the biggest signs of love, especially if you're not the kind of person to actually use words. There are people that are good with words, and there are people that literally, no matter how hard they try, they know what they feel and they're sure of it, and that's why they use like physical contact, like they use their body language in order to actually portray that to the person that they care about. But sometimes it's nice to actually have someone pronounce those words. And I feel like he can see that we are the type of person to need actually words in order to comfort us and not just a hug. And that's what he's like trying to do, even though he knows he's not good at it, and even though he will be fidgeting like way too much. But he's willing to do everything in his power to do this for us. That's beautiful. If something goes wrong, tell me. If you get scared again, I will take you back, alright? Oh, CASSIEL. Everything will be fine. Thank you, CASSIEL. I honestly, now that I look at it more, the more I look at it, the more I like the outfit. So when I sailed and stepped into the house. And is everyone with the higher ups? If everyone is actually inside, I would be leaving because, let me come back when the bomb has been defused. A rumbling voice echoed from the living room. It was unfamiliar to her. She didn't need to listen closely to know whoever it belonged to was extremely unhappy. Can I go to my room? Cassie's face reflected understanding, but then it turned into stubbornness. I'm afraid we'll need to report today, Simona. It seems David has taken the hit for now. Literally the hit? As if to confirm his words, David responded to the voice with an indistinct phrase. I don't like this. Don't tell me that they're actually hitting David. Wait for me here. I'll bring Michael and we'll all talk together. Alright. Isn't he with them? No, he's not here. What is going on? Like I said, they got whiff of it. Maybe they even have the capability to look through their minions' eyes, sort of. I'm just gonna consider them such. And that's why they're capable to figure out that it was David actually massacring them all. The question of how he knew what stuck on her dry tongue and never came out. All her words were getting tangled in anxiety. We're still not fine. But CASSIEL seemed to already know what was troubling her. It is impossible to prepare for a meeting with our superiors. Just wait here. I'll be right back. Oh my god, CASSIEL. CASSIEL turned and hurried away. This is not how I imagine reuniting with Astrea. The voices clashed in an attempt to prove their truth. Simona listened. Oh my god. What did I say? They know everything. Raphael will be forgiven for everything, but you will likely be judged, David. Judged for what? Oh, right, we don't know. All I did was put them out of their misery. Honestly, I can't. Maybe I'm just a whim for David. I think it was hot what he did. He was defending our honor. And besides, tell me that you guys wouldn't do what it takes in order to defend the honor of someone you care about, as in standing up for them. Of course, again, I wouldn't go into killing category, but I would do whatever it takes in order to prove that we have your back, or more like that I have your back. I don't know exactly what motivated you, but it certainly wasn't humanism. Me. And I will find out what it was. Now, honestly, y'all. First off, he's protecting us. Second off, I know from my friend Pactre in the comment section that she had the exact same scene with David actually slaughtering those humans. So, is that because you also played with David's romantic choices? Or is it like this with people that don't even pick David's romantic options? and I will find out who it was, and then you will answer for everything. Oh, wow. I'll be waiting. Oh my goodness. You have all disappointed me. Every step you took was a mistake. You've spent too much time in this house, you've forgotten how to think. Oh my god. The unfamiliar voice intensified, burning the air with its power. It was getting difficult to sit through it. Simona took a deep, loud breath. And if that woman was so important, you shouldn't have let her out of your sight. I mean, it's not like they actually let us out of their sight. David fought the oppressive voice with all his might. Oh god, we really did break this man's heart. He responded in a deliberately nonchalant manner, although the situation was clearly far from lighthearted. We all literally only turned away for a second. Then you should have kept her chained up. Oh fuck no. The hell? I should try not to jump to conclusions. Me jumping to conclusions was what made me hate on Mikael in the finale. We will not be doing all of this. Judging by everything so far, the new bosses are really tough, but I don't know them all at all. You're giving them a chance. That's commendable, alright. What the hell are you even doing here? You brought her into the house. Have you decided that she's your equal? He's talking about me, isn't he? There were no other women in the house, so the answer was obvious. I won't let him talk about me like that behind my back. You are not allowed to go in. Oh my goodness gracious, path of skepticism. She really does not... she needs to set out her priorities. Driven by emotions, Imona plunged into the tense atmosphere of the living room. She is so stupid. She entered the room with her head held high, hiding her fear between clenched teeth. How's it going, fellas? Her gaze immediately fell on strangers in a firm and rather tactless manner. Wow. Her mouth almost fell open as she stared at the men. It was their unusual appearance that struck her the most. The man closer to her was tall and stony looking. He had dark skin and a face twisted with anger. The booming deep voice was unmistakably his. He fine. Behind him like a ghost stood a man with albism and serpentine facial features. There seemed to be only 2 drops of color in his body, blood-red irises bestowed upon him by nature in stark contrast to his lack of melanin. Oh my god. They're like yin and yang. Yin and yang. David's voice brought her back to her senses. Simona. Oh my god. We broke his heart literally. It's like the sign of relief, if you get what I mean. When you actually have missed someone so much, you actually try to accept the fact that you will never see them again, and then all of a sudden you see them again, and all the feelings that you have for them literally are rushing up inside of you at full speed. Is that her? Guilty, madam. That depends on who you mean. Nah, David. David has a soft spot in my heart, alright? Everyone in the room knew exactly who the man meant. But David just smiled innocently in response to his furrowed brow. He just loves to get on people's nerves. Simona appreciated her colleague's attempt to turn everything into a joke, but what she cared about most at the moment were his eyes. There was not an ounce of laughter in them. They burned with the joy of reunion. Dad! So many emotions were mixed in those dilated pupils. Yes, I did play with fire. For a second, Simona forgot about the unusual men who scourged her with their inexplicable contempt. What you want, bitch? I did nothing! If your son over here felt that much in love with me that he felt the need to defend our honor and that explicit matter, that's not my fault. You should have taught him some manners. She looked at David and the world around him ceased to exist. Sorry for leaving without saying goodbye. Simona tried to put on a guilty expression, but she could not look away, and her face melted into a smile. I'm already smiling just seeing this man. Honestly, his warmth could reach her even from a distance. Her feet took a tentative step toward him, and that was enough. All the emotions concentrated in his pupils spread through his body. They set him in motion, sudden and reckless. He covered the distance between them in an instant. Oh my god. Y'all. Even though I actually understand, and I would be jumping him too, because again, right now it's between Mikael and David, honestly. Like, I'm setting it in stone. I thought it was David, then I saw who Mikael truly is, analyzed everything, and now it's between David and Mikael. Alright, so I would have jumped him, but you, again, need to set out your priorities. You are here with people that think that you are the reason that their employee or like their son decided to commit homicide of an entire village. And now his body language, his dilated eyes, which are showing the desire and the love he has for us, are heightening their suspicion that we were the core reason why he decided to commit that homicide, and we decide to actually give in more sauce to the entire thing. Actually highlighting, or more like heightening their suspicion that we were the reason that their son lost control over himself and couldn't control himself. We're actually giving them more reasons to hate us and to want us dead. He pulled Simona to him. He hugged her so gently as if afraid she would crumble in his arms if he squeezed any harder. Welcome home, Simona. Oh, yo, I'm soft. I missed you. I missed you too. Simona didn't have time to reply before she was interrupted by a displeased voice, of course, like again. It reeked of genuine disbelief, as if missing her was something surprising, something disgusting, bitch! Your behavior's unacceptable. What else do you do here? David stepped back, but didn't immediately release her. Many things. Do you want to hear about all my adventures? The man took the joke at face value. Have you found that kind of entertainment for yourself? Excuse me? Did you brighten her here? Did you bring her here to brighten your nights? Oh, hell no. But if he truly loves us, if he truly has feelings for us, he will not be pleased by that. Do you want to fall even lower than your father? Oh, hell no. David grinned in response. Yeah. You spend so much time in the sun that you've gone completely blind. You only see what he allows you to see. You don't even try to look around. You're the one who keeps your eyes down. You've lost all self-respect. Says the one without self-respect. I see everything perfectly. You will answer for every single one of your misdeeds, David. For everything you've done with her. Do you understand? What the heck is going on? I'll even answer for every dirty thought if I have to. I love this. Simona didn't understand what was happening. She stared at the enraged man. How dare he? Now defend my honor. Don't you have the courage to look me in the eye when you insult me? Or is it beneath your dignity to say nasty things to someone's face? Suddenly the fair-haired man who had been silent all this time spoke. He had a raspy, sleepy voice. An interesting specimen. Specimen? Looks like you've drawn attention to yourself. We already had the attention on our ass the second we stepped in this room. The door swung open, saving Simona from overwhelming indignation. At the sight of Mikael, David visibly relaxed. Look at this! Like Mikael's actually like their saving grace. Everyone is immediately happy and relaxed because everyone knows that Mikael got it. That must be so much torment on Mikael though. Goddamn, like actually being responsible for, I don't know, let's say for 7 people. I'm gonna include Felonia in this one too. And himself. actually being responsible for all of them. He was clearly passing the unpleasant task of dealing with these two back to Mikael. Damn.
I'm glad to see you again.
Me too. Following Mikael, CASSIEL also gave them a short nods and greeting. Michael's gaze lingered on Simona. He can't help himself anymore, y'all. A cold, emotionless glance was all he could give her in the presence of his newly arrived superiors. You see? That's the bitch. That's the real bitch. He knows where to set his priorities. Actually allowing our emotions to take the upper hand and act impulsively in front of those manipulative little bitches that are looking for every single possible way to give us even more slaps across the face was the stupidest thing you could do as a person. Like, they are trying to find ways to punish him. Us actually coming in here and actually giving into temptation and hugging the shit out of our man was like giving them more reasons to hate him and want to have this man condemned. I guess any kind of affection between colleagues is strictly prohibited here. No wonder that the atmosphere between them is icy cold. Following his example, Simona gave him a brief nod. Michael's mask cracked. A smile seeped through it, a barely perceptible flash meant for her alone. I see what you're putting out here. I see what you're putting out here, Michael. You do not fool me. He was terribly sorry that their meeting had to happen like this, in the presence of so many other people. Yes, because if it would have been us alone, I'm pretty sure that he would have allowed himself to slip, even for just a few seconds. Which in my eyes means actually moving over to us and actually kissing us, I feel. A threat loomed before him, but at that moment any danger would only be a distant afterthought compared to her eyes. And he couldn't tear his gaze away from them.
Simona, welcome back.
He wanted to say too much, but he needed to say even more, and he wasn't prepared for any of those conversations. Michael caught a smile from her lips, then blinked away his fixation and returned to reality. He could not hide it anymore. CASSIEL stood beside her as if trying to smooth things over, but his attention only made things worse. They all seemed to be preparing for something. War.
You kept us waiting. You didn't inform us of your arrival.
Mike was obviously not going to make excuses and made the already tense atmosphere even more charged. Why the fuck should I make up excuses? You weren't there, you didn't tell me anything. How would I know? The man didn't stoop to asking further questions.
Raphael isn't with you? No, he will return to you later.
So Raphael isn't home? The indefinite postponement of their meeting came as a relief. For some reason, Simona wasn't ready to see him. The fuck? So she would be fine with actually seeing those bitches at the monastery, but not Raphael? I can smack her silly.
Why are you here?
The other guest was the first to respond. He raised his pale eyebrows in surprise. His raspy voice was quiet and determined.
Your work hasn't been nothing but a disappointment. And you know it. The predictions are getting worse. You are stagnating. I'd even say you regret dragging everyone down with your decisions.
Damn. Not everyone shaming him. The muscles in Michael's jaw twitched, but his voice remained calm. Does he have a different choice?
As long as the outcome is unclear, your assessment is unfounded.
Smack the shit out of him with this whip.
Here's your assessment.
The man grimaced and waved a hand carelessly in Simona's direction. Y'all, us always being the bitch. Out of the corner of her eye, Simona noticed CASSIEL clenching his fist. You see, they are not happy. They're ready to defend our honor. I don't like this.
Were the other victims of the beast? Why did you only save 2? What are you all doing here? You're not omnipotent and you know that.
No, we know for sure that's why we're here. Steel flashed in Michael's grey eyes.
Oh, wow. Are we going to be working side by side, Somnus?
David is really waiting for that ass beaten. The fair-haired man whom David had addressed with the strange name gave him a haughty look.
We will be. You can prepare a roof for Furious and me in the meantime.
David smiled broadly and spread his hands.
I'm afraid your quarters are already occupied by the evaluator.
I took their room?
But I can offer you a room with a lovely painting. You like it?
Dumbfounded for a moment, the guests exchanged glances, but they remained silent, likely deciding that staying in the room she had occupied was beneath them. Those manipulative, conniving little bitches. It's beneath me actually occupying the room of such a bitch. Nah, I'm getting a different room. Having finished with the mundane matters, Furious turned back to Michael.
Going forward, we'll be keeping track of how you spend your time and what results it brings. There can be no mistakes, Michael. You have exactly 1 month. If you cannot handle the beast, we will find you a replacement. We'll find replacements for all of you.
The fuck? The formidable voice was echoed by a soft and gentle one, but the words it spoke were no less frightening.
Everyone is eagerly waiting for you at home. Perhaps it is truly time for you to reap the fruits of your labor.
The silence that enveloped the room was deafening. Are there experiments? What the hell is going on? Of course they would be talking in riddles, though. Michael be doing the exact same shit with us. When she spoke next, Simona didn't recognize her own voice. It was hoarse, lifeless. I can return to my apartment if my presence at Astrea bothers anyone. The prospect of living under the same roof as these arrogant men did not appeal to her at all. Me. But I feel like sensing how much these men care about us, I feel like they will want us there. To kind of confirm their suspicion.
You're not staying at Astrea. Our wards have shown that they are incapable of protecting you.
Oh my god.
So we will protect you.
Simona's eyes widened. Unconsciously, she backed away toward the door. No way. There's no way I'm trusting you two bitches with my life.
The man the beast followers failed to kill is already in a safe location. You will be joining him. No soul will find you there.
Oh, hell no. It still does not explain why the beast wants her ass. It all felt like a continuation of her nightmares. For a moment it seemed as if these strange men would grab her and take her out of the city. They would lock her up in the middle of nowhere and, like they said, put her in chains. The thought that she deserved all this made her sick. This is my punishment for inaction, for not saving a chained creature like me. Simona was ready to accept her fate, but her warped, self-sacrificing thoughts were interrupted by Michael. He's not gonna be fine with that.
She's staying.
He's not leaving any choice of debate. Fury's eyes narrowed dangerously. Yeah, especially for Michael, because I have the feeling in front of these two bitches, he always felt the need to be the cute little nice lapdog, carrying out their orders. Doesn't matter if it's what he agrees with or not. And actually seeing that this time he's not willing to bow to their desires and actually be like, no, she's staying, is gonna make these two question things.
It seems all of you here have forgotten yourselves. No wonder he no longer speaks to you. Your own corrupt thoughts have drowned out other, wiser voices. What have you become, Michael?
Oh, hell no. You stay away from my man. He's a cutie pie. Michael's eyes remained impenetrably calm.
She's not just a surviving victim. We need her for our common goal. We need her here.
After the unexpected confession, she no longer felt like looking at Mikael for salvation. What goal? Nah, again. We will not be taking any Mikael slander. Besides, y'all, in this scene she actually reminds me of the MC of Heaven's Secret too. Like, when Plague came rushing into the room, or more like she was sitting on the throne, and we knew, like everyone knew, that we had Malbonti's powers, and Malbonti knew too, and he was trying in his nice, cute way, like with his stone face mask, to tell us to actually not reveal that we had them, because he knew what would happen once she realizes that we had his powers. And she still felt the need to actually show them, because she thought she needed to play Wonder Woman now, seeing that even the most powerful one out of all of them decided to actually play it cool for once, was the most stupidest thing ever. And she's doing the exact same thing. She's jumping the gun, seeing everything that is happening and judging what she's seeing right now. When you have higher-ups that want you dead, that feel the need to actually control your freedom and shrink you in your movements, you have to play their game, okay? So Mikael is not saying this because he actually thinks of you as just some plan in order like to win the long game or whatever, whichever way you want to look at it. He's saying this so that he can like calmly convince them not to send you away. Because that's what these little bitches need. He doesn't actually want us gone, and he's not planning on using us either. Talk to Mikael about this later. Simona swallowed her rising indignation. She gave Mikael a questioning look. He gave her a barely perceptible nod in reply. He knows. He knows we will want answers, and he's willing to give it to us. It was either gratitude for her silence or promise to talk later. Yeah, for silence, because she is insanely impulsive. And yes, I know I've said I'm extremely impulsive too, but sometimes you need to be capable to read between the lines. She's not seeing it. She's not actually capable to actually connect the dots that the men in front of her right now are willing to do whatever it takes in order to stop the beast, even if it means that they have to sacrifice your life, technically. Like, no idea how old this beast is, but imagine that they need 90 years. You will be dead by then, girl. Like, they are willing to actually sacrifice your life, locking you up somewhere where no one will be capable to find you, just in order for them to catch the beast. And Mikael is actually willing to put his foot down, and he's trying to actually charm his way in order for them to actually drop the desire to drag you to that safe house. Mikael appreciates your restraint.
Raphael was certain that Simona will still play an important role. His visions are vague. He sees many paths, but each one leads to her to the beast. And some of them lead to the beast's death. And the rest?
Mikael delivered the obvious answer with a visible reluctance.
To his victory.
The blood in her veins froze and shattered. Simona felt like she was falling apart into tiny pieces. Why me? Because we're the main character, bitch. That's what happens.
Isn't isolating her the best option, then? Nari suggesting that we run from the battle.
At last his well-chosen words had in fact. Furious looked away thoughtfully.
Leave us with her. Leave.
Her colleagues left the living room. Their silent support was evident in their eyes. Trying to suppress her rising panic, Simona talked to herself in her head. Yes, they clearly don't like them, but they definitely trust them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have left us alone. They would be having some questioning thoughts up in their head, but they're willing to let it go. It was only when the others left the room that Simona felt a heavy aura their guests possessed. All her anger evaporated, and a strange tremor settled in her chest. Her gaze had been hot enough to emit sparks only seconds ago. For some reason, it was now clinging to her floor. What's happening to me? Her body was gripped by the quiet horror of awe. Simona suddenly felt like a tiny, sleepless creature next to something indescribably huge. Path of high reputation.
You're not like the rest of your kind, so I'll grant you the gift of choice.
Simona didn't lift her head as she listened to the gentle voice.
You're the matter of your own life, whatever it may be. You can come with us and choose peace, or you can stay here and choose your worst nightmare.
Well, what can I tell you? I'm an adventurous specimen. I'm here for the danger, I'm here for the thrill, I'm here for the excitement. Both options made her stomach turn. He's trying to intimidate me into making a decision that is convenient for him. He's trying to get rid of me. It took a lot of effort to raise her eyes from the floor. I didn't come back here only to be afraid again. I have already decided to stay here. You're not getting me out of the house.
Did you decide that yourself?
Why, you have the feeling that your sons need to manipulate me? The sharp needles of his sarcasm pricked her painfully. What right do they have to decide for me? Them, Michael, anyone? Yes, I decided for myself. I can make this decision on my own. I don't need to be hidden away.
Did you hear what we told you?
Simona flinched at his furious roar and clenched her chattering teeth. Driven by fear and adrenaline, she spoke very quickly. I've heard about the danger many times. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've felt its grip on my throat. But I'm not a rat that hides in burrows. Simona smiled and tilted his head smoothly. And if the beast tries to devour me, I'll try to become a bone in its throat. This time Fury's expression changed as well. For a brief moment, it softened almost imperceptibly. I'm not hiding. Who do you think I am?
Very curious, isn't it, Furious?
It seems you've managed to pique their interest. I mean, I would assume that since we don't have any magical powers, the fear would be altered because of the fact that I don't want to call us useless, but we don't have powers to protect ourselves. Like we saw what happened at the monastery. But we refuse to be hidden away. Like, this is the easy option out. I'm willing to fight. I want to fight for my life. I'm not willing to be hidden away just because it's the easy option for me or the safest option. Besides, what is your life worth for if you're not willing to fight for it? I'm willing to fight for my rights. I'm willing to fight for my life. Like someone is trying to take my life away from me just in order to have me sacrificed or something like this. This is my life. I have a right to live it. And if you feel the need to come with your ugly ass face into my personal business, then I'm placing my face into your business. Like, you try to devour me, well, if I go down, you're coming down with me. That's how things go. And normally that's not the reaction that they would expect from someone that is supposed to be sacrificed to a greater cause or something. So they are surprised, of course. Samna's question remained unanswered.
I hope you understand that it is only out of respect for Raphael that we lower ourselves to have this conversation with you.
Because of your respect with Raphael.
Were it not for his prediction, you would no longer be here. To pray that he's not mistaken, pray fervently, you wretched creature.
The corner of Simona's mouth twitched nervously. She barely held back an inappropriate laugh. No, honestly, I would have laughed. Like, the fuck you think you are? This is probably not the best time to discuss my belief in God and see. And there will be no more Oh, sorry. I thought that was us.
And there will be no more ridiculous assignments for your amusement.
The fuck are you talking about? This is part of my job.
If you wish to immerse yourself in the real activities of Astrea, we will arrange it.
The open threat sent an unpleasant jolt through her body, raising the hairs on the back of her neck.
And do not hesitate to ask us your refuge when your mind cannot comprehend what is happening. Better a rat's burrow than a slum or a noose, right?
What assignments are they talking about?
This conversation is over. You can go.
Why, thank you, master. She didn't need to be told twice. The unpleasant, frightening words didn't just make her want to escape. They made her want to wash herself clean as soon as possible. Her legs had turned to jelly, but they carried her out of the room surprisingly quickly. It seems they really are capable of anything. Even shut you up, that's something. Her retreat to the bedroom was interrupted by familiar silhouette leaning against the wall. He pushed himself off of it and moved toward her. Ah, David. It's always great to have David here. Him and his fine ass.
Are you all done with the interrogation, little witch?
Simona sighed in relief and quickened her pace. Who are they? What's wrong with them?
Everything is wrong with them. Let's not talk about it. Come on, let's have a drink.
Simona approached him but froze in a strange indecision before she got too close. Did they really threaten you? David waved off the question. He took her hand and pulled her into the shadows of the hallway. They did. First off, and second off, I feel like in his eyes it's more the fact that he's worried that we could get like caught in the crossfire, and they are willing to do whatever it takes in order to get to the beast. And so he feels the need to actually hide the fact that we are altering his decisions. The fact that he actually went on a killing spree in that village was because they hurt us. He saw that we were hurt and he immediately rushed out of the room in order to deal with that village. He had no mercy for anyone. He killed them all.
I've gotten far worse threats.
Simona followed him obediently, feeling her fear dissolve with each step giving way to anger. They need to be taught some manners. You think? David stopped a few feet from the door and roared with laughter.
We'll definitely give it a try.
It seemed the words had no effect on David at all. Are you really used to being treated like this? Like, we can understand because they're like serving a greater cause, sort of. So they are like the bitches that need to make sure that everything goes well, that you are alright, that nothing bad happens to you, etc. Like, you all get the drill. And then actually seeing them treat someone we care about that badly is actually making us raise a lot of questions, especially since we know that David rarely actually allows himself to be said anything. So now we can't even look at each other because of them? We can't. Aww, not her actually saying it like this. She's not actually upset about the fact that they... I mean, we partially are upset that they threatened him. But we're more upset about the fact that they said that we cannot be close to one another. Simona stuttered and stopped midway through her words, suddenly realizing how disappointed her voice sounded just then.
Simona.
Without letting go of her hand, David pulled her closer.
You know what I'm really not used to? Being accused of sins I haven't committed yet.
Funny. His pupils dilated, and a slight smirk raised his lips. Maybe you should have defended yourself then. You defended me in court? You can't defend yourself?
Or...
David slowly leaned closer to her ear and whispered seductively, I am a wimp for him. Say whatever you want. I think the relationship between these two is heating up quite quickly. But honestly, you know what I would find even hotter, I feel, since he never actually allows himself to open up. Imagine this being Michael. Like, not exactly like David is doing it, of course, but like Michael actually allowing himself to give it a thought, all right? Like moving closer to us, like actually allowing his emotions to do the talking for him for a change, and then actually trying to like whisper seductively in our ear how beautiful we look or like something. Just imagine knowing that this man never ever shows emotion.
Maybe we really should sin. Since I'm already facing punishment, will you give me a real memory? Something to warm my tortured soul while I take my lashes.
Funny. Her heart began to pound uncontrollably. She wasn't sure if it was the adrenaline and fear of being caught or her own desire. What should I give him? A kiss. We give him a kiss, alright? David watched her like a cat, expectantly with lively curiosity. He let her lead to do whatever she and only she desired. I guess I need this as much as he does. I mean, at this point, we already provoked the bear when we actually couldn't hold our emotions in check and, like, jumped him while the bosses were there. Simona remembered all the endless, lonely days without him. She suddenly realized that she didn't want to be apart from him anymore. Her hand rested on his lightly stubbled cheek. Her fingers traced his cheekbones, gently following the contour of his chin. His jaw muscles moved and his smile disappeared. There was a question froze in his eyes. I'm going to give you a kiss. Simona wasn't sure why she was warning him. She slowly parted her lips because she knows that she will not be capable to stop at the kiss. We know what happened with Raphael. She closed her eyes and leaned forward slightly, trembling in anticipation of a tender and gentle touch. You're not actually expecting him to give you a gentle touch, like they are all animals, starving with desire, burning. Like the most innocent one turned out to be the beast, like all. But as soon as he heard what she wanted to give him, David seized his gift himself. He snatched it so eagerly from her outstretched hands that it felt like he had been waiting for it for far too long. In an instant, Simona found herself wrapped in his arms. Give me a picture, give me a picture, give me a picture, give me a picture. Oh my god, I can't. Now he looks way hotter in this picture. Oh, my apologies. No, I can't with the hair. What the heck is this hair? Oh, no matter. God. David's lips sought to devour her so fiercely that Simona almost immediately ran out of air. But she was safe from suffocating by the greed of his carnal passion. He wanted to kiss her all over. Her cheekbones, her cheeks, her chin. His lips seemed to be everywhere. It didn't matter where they landed next. Every inch of her skin burned and demanded his kisses. He tasted of mint, and the scent overwhelmed her senses, but no matter how much of it there was, it was unbearably little for her. A single thought swirled in her head, scorching everything in its path. Let's go upstairs. Let's go to my room, period. She is willing to give it all. What did I say? This was the exact same moment that we had with Raphael in the first season. Like, never ever say just a kiss with these bitches. Like, they are addictive, okay? But honestly, me and Michael win. When can I have this bitch ass finally fold? Let's go. The words came out with a soft breath that David sealed with the heat of his lips, not letting her speak aloud. He seemed to know exactly what she wanted to say. He didn't let the invitation escape her lips because he knew that if she called to him, he wouldn't be able to refuse. Oh, he doesn't want to do it yet. David. Only his name escaped in a pleading moan. Simona put one request in it to keep going. She became entangled in his thoughts, feelings, and his hair. Soft curls slid through her fingers, and with them her mind slipped away. Finally, David stumbled. He released her bruised, ravaged lips and leaned into her neck. He'd gotten too carried away. He'd missed her breath. He let her make his head spin even more. Let's go upstairs. Their hearts were pounding so hard that her whisper dissolved in the sound of rushing blood. But Navid heard her. He heard her even when she was silent. He read it in her eyes. A low growl burned her collarbone. His hands dropped to her hips, gripping them tightly. Simona moved them forward. She could feel how much he wanted to obey her words. And that's commendable about him. I feel like this has more to do with the higher-ups being there. Like, I'm not saying that they're still there. I'm saying we only heard part of the conversation. We have no idea how far these uppers, these higher-ups are willing to go in order to have the beast be captured. We still don't know what these men are. We only know that they're not human. Because again, David had red eyes. And I would assume they have been taught in that manner that actually allowing themselves to give in to temptation and actually like go in for emotion is out of the ordinary for them. They always have themselves under complete control. And the people I've been playing all of them. but like allowing themselves to open up to a human, no matter which way, is not normal in the eyes of the higher ups, because normally they don't get attached to someone. And especially, I feel like the most surprising one in their eyes was Mikael. Like, this man actually not being fine with their decision for once, and trying to manipulate them into believing that actually us remaining here could be a good thing. Like, they are not willing to let go of us. They're too attached to us. And that means that the longer we are around them, the more it is possible for us to like wrap them around our finger to that extent that they can't control themselves at all when we're around. Like, we're making them lose control. We actually were capable to creep through that defensive shield that they built around their heart, and now they're not capable to actually put it up again. So, being close to us and actually like just being around us, being in our world, is making their head spin already enough as it is. And then us actually giving into temptation and like making out with them, they can't help themselves but actually want to have us right then and there. But first off, again, we don't know what they are. Who knows if we're too fragile for their supernatural bodies? I'm just gonna place them as demons. And on the other side, them actually like taking a step back and actually refusing to give in to our deepest, darkest desires is a real sign of restraint, because they want it, and they also know that we want it, but they're not willing to actually give in to temptation because they have the feeling that it's not the right time, or more like in David's point of view, it's not the right time for us to actually give in to temptation. Simona moved them forward. She could feel how much he wanted to obey her words.
Are you sure?
Her agreement burst out in a moan. Yes.
The bar is closer.
An image of the fluffy rug appeared in her mind. Are we gonna do it or not? Her back felt its welcoming softness. Her chest felt the weight of the body she most desired. Or perhaps the hard surface of the bar. She likes it rough. I can feel you, sis. She didn't care which they reached first. Fantasies erupted and spread through her body with the longing they contained. Ooh, no one has ever made David's head spin so much, period. I knew it was not gonna happen because we already got a picture. I can't. Oh my god. Yeah, we're making him lose control and he can't control it. As much as he wished he could.
David, what are you aiming at?
Like a thief caught red-handed, Simona froze in fear and turned to face the wary voice. Well, behind David stood Somnus. She managed to forget about him with remarkable ease. David breathed heavily. His black, passion-drunk eyes remained fixed on Simona as he answered.
I'm aiming at her.
Well, son, you just missed. Like, your plane could not land. Like, we were interrupted.
Are you both coming with me?
Oh.
No, just me.
He's like, she's not coming with you. Who knows what plan you're having for her? Before he left, David kissed her again, but this time it was unusually tender and brief, as if to apologize for this unrestrained feelings. Yes, because he wanted. he wanted to give it to it. He spoke so softly that she had to read his lips to understand him.
Remember where we left off?
He's like, next time, babe. Keep it in mind. Samna stepped closer and addressed Simona. What now, bitch?
You should also learn to keep your hands to yourself unless you plan on parting with them.
Oh, hell no. You keep your fucking ass to yourself, as if I would give a damn about what you say. Mikael is next! And so is Raphael! And if it would actually be of an even more provocation for these bitch asses, I would even put Felonia and CASSIEL into the mix. Just for your sorry ass. Don't test me.
He's joking, little witch.
Is he?
You're untouchable.
Especially when it comes to you. The smile David responded with was meant to be reassuring, but for some reason it struck Simona as airy.
I'll be back soon.
Simona swallowed and nodded. Desire still pulsed in her lower abdomen. Deceived, it turned into a dull ache. The moment he touches me, I instantly forget everything. That's the same thing that happened with Raphael. Can she stop being such a bitch towards him? What did he do besides actually having wings? He saved her! I don't understand why she's so afraid of him. I really don't. It does not make sense to me. After standing in the hallway for a while, Simona finally collected her thoughts and went to her room. She couldn't even imagine how exactly someone's planned to punish David. Her lips still burned from their kisses, and she bit it guiltily. I hope it's just a fine for breaking a rule written in his contract. Upon reaching her bedroom, Simona collapsed on the bed in exhaustion. Almost immediately, she was overwhelmed by something barely perceptible. An odd and oppressive sense of change. Everything in the room seemed the same furniture and the same things, but something was definitely off. She thought she smelled blood. It seemed to be coming from her bed. Simona jumped to her feet and stared in confusion at the new bedspread. Where did the old one go? She tore off the cloth sharply, with such force that it seemed to hold all the answers she had long been waiting for. But the only answer was the crash of a vase of flowers that she accidentally knocked over. The scattering of shattered pieces quickly distracted her from her strange thoughts. As usual, I just made it worse. Simona knelt and began to gather the glass. And she cut herself. Damn it! A sharp shard pierced her palm deeply, as if in revenge for its senseless destruction. Simona leaped up and stared at the flowing blood. The sight of blood had never scared her before, but this time it knocked the breath out of her. It was as if something else was coming out of her along with it. Yep. But what did I say? We actually tried to place these memories at the back of her head, like somewhere back. Simona answers did come. Time stopped. It seemed the only thing alive in that frozen moment was the liquid running down her skin. Simona stared at the floor, and now covered in red stains, she barely breathed. It was in this strange position that a knock on the door found her. Without waiting for an answer, the visitor entered cautiously. He froze at the scene before him. Ah! I did say Michael was next. Finally, your bitch ass came. I've been waiting, Michael.
Simona?
She did not raise her head to him, but stared mesmerized at the ground beneath her feet. Drop by drop, she collected the fragments of the lost past.
Simona, what happened to you?
We were stupid. Michael then noticed the blood and immediately appeared at her side. Ignoring the shards, he approached Simona and took her trembling hand in his.
This needs bandaging.
Simona lifted her dazed eyes to him, barely holding back tears. Why does it feel like this has happened to me before? Poor Michael! Poor Michael! He actually feels the need to shut up in my eyes, because he knows what happened when we actually had the memories. So they really... Oh my god. I actually thought he only manipulated his side away. Okay, so he manipulated everything away. So we don't remember shit. I wasn't capable to actually understand the words back then. Now I do. So he manipulated it all away. So she doesn't even know that she actually had her palm slashed open. She was only left with feelings she couldn't comprehend. And memories that were left at the back of her head, which were kind of like manipulated away. But in my eyes, it also could be like some sort of PTSD, where your memories are being placed at the back of your head, where you can't reach them, and the second you start to heal, they kind of resurface, sort of. But in this particular circumstance, because they kind of were compelled away, we don't remember. We don't remember why we're feeling that way or why we're scared of Raphael. We just feel that we are scared of him. And we don't understand why. And that uncertainty is making us feel even more scared. And Michael knows what happened. And he was like, compel her memories away, because that will be the best option for her. Because she's too petrified. She can't actually deal with all of this, and now is actually breaking down because we want to understand the awful feelings that we are carrying within. It must be breaking him so much. Michael led her away from the broken vase and sat her down on the bed like a lifeless doll. The sight of blood stirred a memory in him, too, one he'd rather forget, us being on the bed dying. After she left, he had convinced himself that those emotions were just a surge of adrenaline. He almost believed that the fear of losing her had exaggerated his fleeting infatuation, but now looking at her again, so miserable and confused, all he wanted to do was hold her, never let go. Michael...
She doesn't need my feelings right now. She needs to sort out her own.
I need your feelings! I mean, it's her fault, okay? What can I tell you? If partially I agree with him, she needs to set out her priorities, and that's showing a lot of personal growth from Michael, where he's like, nah, I can't be selfish right now. She needs to be capable to set out her priorities. And that means that if I actually confess to her how I feel about her, then she will be plagued with that, and it will add to her already full plate. I can't do that. I can't be that selfish. So he prefers to remain silent. But Sonny, David is doing the exact opposite. Show me a little bit of emotion.
Something terrible has indeed happened to you, Simona.
Michael was confident that words wouldn't shake her mind, and he also believed that if her memories hadn't been stolen by Raphael, she would even be more afraid. Now she would be able to find an explanation for everything that had happened, one that fit her worldview. Do you know what happened to Ruth?
Ruth?
Michael had been prepared for many questions, but for some reason not for this.
Honestly, I don't know what happened to her, but I don't think it matters right now.
To avoid confusing her father, Michael began to speak. He spoke carefully, but honestly and without embellishment. He recounted her day from beginning to end, leaving out no details. He told her about her meeting with Ruth, her friend's betrayal, her connection with the beast, and more. Timona listened in silence. It wasn't until the conversation reached Raphael that she couldn't hold back. Questions poured out of her in an unstoppable stream. I want to know, how did Raphael end up in that village?
He knew you were there. You felt it. And as soon as he realized you were in danger, he followed you.
Michael added the next few words with undisguised displeasure.
Without telling any of us.
He's like, bitch, I would have been there to help. God, you really believe that he's a seer?
Yes.
What happened to the villagers? They were blinded.
Yeah, they were all connected to the beast. Let's just say they got what they wanted. Divine retribution.
On themselves, I might add. Are you saying they were punished by God himself? No, they were punished by Raphael, and that was a hot side.
Not by his own hand, Simona. By Raphael's hand.
Period. Raphael is the GOAT, judging by the news shed heard. I can't even read. It's great. Judging by the news she'd heard, it would have been impossible to do such a thing to 1,000 people with just bare hands.
But you shouldn't feel sorry for them. They wanted to kill you for a terrible purpose. That's enough for me not to regret what was done.
How did you save me? According to your own words, I was literally bleeding out 100 miles away from here. To answer this question, Michael started from a distance.
Simona, Raphael is an extraordinary being with unique abilities. He transported you here bloodied and barely alive to his bedroom.
Transported? How?
Very quickly, Simona.
Not wanting to thread on thin ice, Michael changed the subject.
What matters is that he saved you.
And what happened then? Simona knew the answer, but asked anyway. She couldn't help but ask.
I healed you, just as I healed you the day you ingested poison.
After a pause, Simona could only manage 2 words. I see. Simona understood perfectly well that Michael was trying to make her believe in something incredible, but for some reason she didn't feel her unusual sarcastic skepticism. It feels like everything he's saying is true. Her memory was returning in fragments, but the moment of salvation remained a dark spot for her. And who exactly is Raphael?
I don't have a term or definition for you, Simona. He's still the same Raphael you know. But the power he possesses is truly immense. Even I don't fully know what he's capable of.
Maybe we're all delusional here.
And it's hard to believe, but you have to try.
This would be a lot easier if I could remember everything you're talking about. Could actually Raphael give us those memories back if he was the one that took it? A miracle seen with your own eyes can make you believe in anything. Yeah, but you were petrified as fuck. So they all thought that actually making you forget would be the best solution for you. Michael turned her bleeding palm upward and seemed to assess the risk.
I can show you one, if you don't mind.
I don't? Is he going to give me some magical ointment or pill? No. Michael managed to surprise her. Suddenly, the piercing pain around her hand began to recede. Simona's jaw dropped in shock. She watched as the wound on her palm closed. It happened so quickly and easily, as if this kind of regeneration was commonplace for her. She couldn't find the right words. What is this?
This is exactly how it cleansed your blood of poison.
Was just one touch?
Yes. One touch is enough.
Michael's gaze slid guiltily over Simona's confused face, as if he had done something terrible. Honestly, now that I think about it, I need to address this as well. If that is true, one touch is enough, then that also means that him touching us is also more, as in that it means more at the end of the day than it actually seems. For us, like, touching someone is like showing affection. But with with Michael, it's different. When he touches you, it's like him automatically like healing you, sort of, if that makes sense. Of course, I'm pretty sure he can control his powers, but he touches people in order like to heal them. And if he doesn't need to heal them, then he doesn't touch people. So that means that he never actually felt the human touch. If that is true, one touch is enough to heal someone, so if he touches people, it's only like to heal them. He must feel so alone, like he must have never felt human touch. That's so sad. Michael's gaze slid guiltily over Simona's confused face, as if he had done something terrible. He tried to read her feelings in her eyes. Was she afraid of him? Simona herself wasn't sure if she was. Her emotions were overwhelming, but she couldn't explain them. Entranced by the miracle, she stared at her stained but perfectly healed hand. Simona wondered what else the human body was capable of. So all those stories about healers aren't myths? People like that really exist? Simona couldn't help but think of how much Michael could contribute to the world, of how many people he could save. If he really has that kind of power, keeping it to himself is simply a crime. Babe, being special is not really something positive in this world. I just want to remind you. Vivid, incredibly fantasies blossomed in her mind, but they were almost immediately overshadowed by rational thought. It's hardly something you can talk about everywhere. Period. Surely scientists would kill us all for the chance to dissect Michael's brain. Yes. Michael remained silent. He listened to her feelings without letting go of her hand. He tried not to miss a moment when she would need him to calm her. Michael! I grew soft for him from like 0 to 100. How is that possible? Why? He's just always there. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I explained everything that was in the last episode, so I don't need to dig too deep into this, but Michael, honestly, he has me on a chokehold. And like also because even though he's not letting any emotion appear to the outside, which shows extreme inner human strength, he's willing to be everything we need. That's insane. Like, if we need a father figure, he's gonna be our father figure. If we need a friend, he's gonna be our friend. If we gonna need a doctor, he's gonna be our doctor. If we're gonna need a psychologist, he's gonna be our psychologist. He's willing to be whatever we want to be. He's willing to be whatever we need. He's willing to be whatever we want him to be. That's deep love. After a few minutes, Simona finally spoke. At least now I understand why you believe in all that mysticism.
I'm glad your sense of humor has returned. That's a good sign.
Bye. Are you happy that I didn't faint or lose my memory again from what I saw? This was a joke Michael couldn't appreciate. Unlike her, he remembered everything that had happened to her all too well. He's not capable to laugh about it because it actually cut him deep. Simona sensed his mood and bit her tongue. I don't even know how he got through that night. Maybe I should share my feelings? Yes, share your feelings. As if breathing coursed into her lungs along with oxygen, Simona exhaled a confession. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. I acted very stupid. You warned me about the danger so many times, and I trusted Rude anyway and ran into a trap. She desperately wanted to justify her foolish actions, but she had no ace up her sleeve, only the pathetic truth. I didn't think life would stab me in the back so treacherously again. I didn't think it would take away the last person close to me. And I really wanted someone in my life I could trust. Forgive me, Michael. Oh. I feel like it's hurting him more than it's hurting us. For the problems I caused and for my carelessness. Michael understood what she was apologizing for. Had it been anyone else in her place, he would have started this conversation himself. But for some reason, when he looked at her, he wanted to apologize himself. Michael! My weak-ass bitch. And I'm talking about myself, like I'm the weak-ass bitch. For not saving her, for not protecting her. Yeah, because in his eyes, he knew better, so he should have behaved better. For not being the person she could trust. Oh, stop. No. Stop piangendo. Yeah, he's crying again. At first, he wanted to say that she was not to blame, that it was all his fault and that he was sorry, but all those words couldn't even come close to expressing what was on his mind. Deep inside, Michael was reliving the moment when her life slipped out of his hand. He saw it over and over again. Yeah, because technically we did die. We did die, but he was somehow capable to do the impossible, and he managed to save us. The moment when something inside him broke irreparably. No, Michael? The prolonged silence was broken by a attentive voice. Michael answered his call and raised her hand. Then he gently kissed the spot where the wound had been open and throbbing just a moment ago. His lips absorbed all of her remaining pain. Michael was sure he couldn't heal emotional wounds, but in that moment Simona could have argued that he could. The lips were replaced with a soft, smooth cheek. Oh. Simona felt that this was a way for Michael to calm himself down, pressing himself against her hand like this. Simona looked at this closed eyes and serene face. She felt the fire of self-reproach in her own chest die down. Maybe she was supposed to say something, a heartfelt confession. No, the fact that he just needs to feel like, or skin against his own, and actually like just normally you can actually feel your heartbeat on your palm, or more like on the back of your hand, even if it's light, just so that he knows that we're alive. Goddamn. Maybe she was supposed to say something, a heartfelt confession, but all words dissolved in that moment. What could the words give them anyway? They brought headaches and multiplied. They caused misunderstandings, questions, fears, resentments. Silence gave them completely different feelings. It was far more honest than all the confessions in the world, and much clearer. The room was so quiet that Simona could hear his steady breathing. She could feel their hearts beating in unison. I've sought peace in this world for so long, but it was in his touch. Simona lost track of time. It felt like an eternity passed before Michael allowed himself to pull away from her. Simona smiled back at him. She'd freed her now completely healed hand. Something in Michael's soul has shifted, and it's because of you. Does it hurt? No, not anymore. To avoid the temptation to touch her again, Michael clasped his blood-stained fingers together. He cleared his throat. A memorable return, Simona. I'm sure of it. It will take time. Try not to put too much pressure on yourself. Simona suddenly remembered the new residents of the house. She tried to formulate a question, but realized she didn't even know where to start. So she began with the big picture. Shall we expect big changes? Probably. The reason for her question was obvious. Michael understood immediately.
Some furious are complex individuals, but they are on our side, and that's what matters the most.
On our side for exactly 1 month until we find the beast?
Even if I am removed from my position, our allegiance will not change. I don't think they will give us a new assignment anytime soon. Still, we all need to be prepared for something challenging.
Michael tried to reassure her, but Simona had the feeling that he didn't know what would happen next either. All they could do was wait for their orders. After talking a bit more, they said goodbye. A few days later, as Michael had expected, their new superiors didn't immediately issue the promised assignment. The days at Astrea were filled with oppressive anticipation and stretched out one after another. The already quiet house became completely deserted. Michael was busy searching for the beast. It was impossible to meet him outside his office. David never returned after the incident in the hallway. The new superiors did not appear with him, which added to her worries. Simona hoped that David was all right. She missed him terribly. Yes! Not a day went by without Simona thinking about the miracle Michael had shown her. She thought about Raphael and wondered what abilities that quiet man had within him. She could no longer look at the residents of Astrea the same way. They all seemed to harbor their own secrets. What this new thought filled her with anxiety. Honestly, I just gonna give this one, because of the new emotion we have here, confusing feelings. No matter how Simona tried to explain what happened, it was difficult to understand her own feelings. Everything inside her was mixed up, and she couldn't pick one thing out of that mess. Sometimes CASSIEL kept her company. She had to look for him in the usual place, the garden. But sometimes, no matter how long she waited, he didn't show up. Gradually, the fear passed, leaving only an unpleasant residue. Even the threats given by the new management turned into empty words. Raphael, wherever he was, never showed up. And though Simona was still afraid to meet him, she secretly longed to do so. She had so many questions for him. The memory of their kiss now seemed like a dream, but her lips still remembered the kiss Raphael had so deliberately stolen. It was as if it had been his last chance. More than anything, Simona feared that they would never see each other again, that they wouldn't have time. Felonia was buried in work. The burned village caused her a lot of trouble. One superior demanded answers from her, while others demanded that she kept all answers to herself. She felt stuck in one single moment. Minutes, hours, days passed. She kept waiting for something to happen. She couldn't grasp the time, couldn't get back into flowing stream of life passing her by. And just when boredom was about to drive Simona up the wall, Astrea received an unexpected guest. Simona met him in the hallway as he was leaving Michael's office. Malik? She didn't associate the man with anything positive, but she was genuinely glad to see him this time. Malik.
Simona, good afternoon.
She stopped in her tracks and smiled. Malik, what an unexpected meeting. The man put his hands in his trousers pockets, then sauntered slowly to the exit while engaging her in conversation.
I stopped by to give your boss some information about the symbol you're looking for.
Simona quickened her pace to keep up with her newfound informant. Something very important? The somewhat narrow hallway forced them to walk almost side by side. At some point, their shoulders accidentally touched. Simona didn't pull away. No, not anytime soon. Malik glanced sideways at her and smiled mysteriously.
Do you want to whisper something in my ear?
Simona blushed and moved a little to the side anyway. You little bitch. You should brush. You should blush more often. Malik loves it. Bye. Enjoying living through the power. The man stopped on the porch and finally deigned to answer her question.
I didn't find the symbol, but I found someone who is as interested in it as you are.
An occultist?
No idea. Maybe just a fool. I'm sure Michael will give you all the details later.
Sure, of course. Simona could not contain her idle curiosity. She whispered conspiratorially. Did Michael tell you a story from his childhood in exchange? Bye. The question clearly pleased Malik.
I don't share secrets so easily, Simona. You have to give me something in return. And if, for example, Michael's story is full of spice, then you have to tell an equally spicy one.
Funny. Simona hesitated. She hurried to justify herself. I was just asking. I don't want his secrets. Yes, you do.
If you say so.
Malik knows it all. Actually, I wanted to ask you about someone else. This time, Malik decided to make it easier for her.
Ruth's fine. She's hiding from you in a country house and burning with shame.
Oh, she best knows.
In fact, you saved her life by almost taking your own.
To her surprise, Simona had no conflicting feelings about Ruth. Maybe it was because she knew of Ruth's betrayal only from Malik's words, or maybe she truly pitied her friend. She's a broken person who was abused throughout her childhood. I can understand her, yet you still turned out completely different, huh?
You can press charges against her, of course, but no, that I will defend her.
Why is this bitch so much on her ass? Like I had this conversation with my friend in the comment section. What is this bitch seeing in her that he's willing to defend her in court? I'm not going to do that.
Oh, you're quite the martyr. You almost died for someone else's faith.
Malik smiled and easily jumped off the last step.
I hope you weren't too upset that I couldn't call you back immediately. I thought a personal meeting would be much more pleasant.
Yet you didn't come here for me, you came here for Michael. Simona only vaguely remembered what he was talking about. She forced a smile. That's all right, I can understand. I guess he's talking about the message I left about looking for Ruth.
I'm going to a restaurant for lunch. You can join me.
Yes. It sounded more like permission than an invitation. Aww. I don't recall asking. I'm afraid my colleagues won't leave me alone after what happened with Ruth. So if I agree, I'll have to bring a chaperone.
Sure, Simona.
Oh! You heard nothing. I said nothing.
Besides, I've already gotten permission from your boss.
Michael is willing to just give me up. Y'all, he's such a difficult nut to crack. Goddamn. How considerate. And Michael let me go so easily.
I'm your informant after all. I throw them a bone while they're ignoring on it. I can afford to see you for now.
If Simona wasn't dying of boredom, she might have thought twice, but fine.
Wonderful, let's go then.
I'm living. I don't know what she's complaining about. Simona sat at a familiar table and wondered what she had done in her life to deserve this, not as being back here. She tried to calm down. She told herself that the restaurant owner she had deceived would hardly come out to meet ordinary guests. But she hadn't considered that Malik was anything but ordinary. So this is your favorite restaurant? While Simona nervously studied the menu, Malik studied her.
You've been here before?
Yes, and I pretended to be someone completely different in front of the owner of this place. Malik leaned in slightly, either playing along or mocking her.
The curious games you play, Simona.
This man, he's into foreplay?
So should I call you by a different name now?
Embarrassed, Simona shook her head. No, of course not. It's just that if Adam gets angry, I want you to be ready for it. In response to the statement, Malik casually waved to a waiter.
I'm sure I'll forgive you for your little prank.
To Simona's horror, the restaurant owner himself approached their table a minute later. He bowed respectfully and addressed Malik first.
Mr. Sinner.
Then his gaze lingered on Simona's testing, piercing. Why didn't I leave right away? Of course, Adam Villain already knew that the visitors that day were not his potential partners. After all, no deal was made in the end.
Simona, but you may know her by another name.
The restaurant owner's inscrutable smile looked sinister at that moment.
I will address you as you wish. Excellent, Adam.
The man tore his unblinkingly gaze from Simona and turned back to Malik.
Shall I bring you the usual? Yes, the same for the lady.
Once alone with Malik, Simona exhaled loudly.
Why did you do that to him? What did you do to him that you can't sit still?
I ruined a big business deal for him.
Oh, Simona, you should cross people when it comes to money.
I know I shouldn't, but I couldn't help myself.
But you're lucky that Adam isn't obsessed with it.
Simona also knew what the restaurant owner was obsessed with instead. That didn't make for a usual conversation. She regretted agreeing to have lunch outside of Astrea 1,000 times over. But to her relief, Malik's favorite dish turned out to just be a steak.
A scoop, a kind of marble beef.
Simona remembered the horrific way ortolan is prepared. She grimaced. It's frightening to think of the suffering this cow goes through before it dies.
On the contrary, these cows are treated very tenderly, especially in Japan. They're all well taken care of. They graze on the best pastures and are fed the finest grain. They even get massaged to improve their blood circulation and listen to cows' classical music to calm their nerves. The only thing they don't get is a live violin serenade.
Haha. Before starting his meal, Malik raised his glass. He took a sip and licked his lips predatorily.
But the funniest thing is that they give them names. The owner of this expensive animal not only provided with the best home, but they also make it feel like more than just faceless livestock. And then they lead it to slaughter.
Simona didn't know exactly what Malik was trying to say, but she evidently drew the parallel. Even though the meat was indeed delicious, she couldn't swallow another bite. To ease the tension, Simona tried to make a joke. She scored another piece of her fork and twirled it thoughtfully in her hand. Do you think Adam might have poisoned my dish?
Because of the ruined deal. Of course, personally, I would have done the same in his place.
Thank you for that. Simona froze. She didn't even resist when Malik suddenly took her curtly from her numb fingers.
Let me share the thrill with you.
Why is he like this? Simona watched in fascination as the man's lips touched the silver of her fork. It was deliberately slow and enticing. Malik handed the utensil back to her and concluded,
Strange, yours definitely tastes better.
Do you think it's poison after all?
No.
His cunning smile suggested curious thoughts. Is this way of flirting with me?
But I think knowing that you won't die alone makes the taste of impending death a little sweeter.
Oh, that's funny. It was impossible to understand exactly what was going through Malik's mind, but she could play along and see the man's reaction. Simona scored another piece and repeated the slow movement. It really does taste better. Interest sparked in Malik's eyes. He casually pushed his plate to the edge of the table. Then he folded his arms across his chest and stared at her. Have you lost your appetite?
I've got another appetite for something else.
Period. Malik likes it when you yield to his provocations. Period. You're not the only one that can provoke. The meal was over. Malik paid the bill and said goodbye to the restaurant owner.
Come on, let's get you back to your boss.
Much to Simona's surprise and disappointment, they had part on that note. No! He brought her back to the agency, not only well-fed, but also overwhelmed with emotion. Simona paused on the doorstep of the house. She mentally sent a curse Malik's way. The parallel he had shown her would not leave her mind. And as she looked at the front door, Simona couldn't shake the thought that she wasn't entering a house, but a very expensive and well-appointed stable. Damn! Sometime later, it seemed that Malik's presence had unexpectedly revived Astrea. As soon as the man left the house, life began to flow again with its walls. Its current brought Simona a new guest, Felony, exhausted from sleepless nights, and with her came news of an assignment personally chosen by Sumnus and Furious.
You should bring a hat. They say it can get chilly out there.
Felonia settled on the bed and rummaged through a small package.
We're flying out tonight, so you better hurry up with your packing.
It took them a long time to decide what to assign us. That's alarming. Surely they were looking for worse options. Simona spent some time figuring out what to pack, which distracted her from her anxious thoughts. After a pause, Felonia brought up something unexpected.
Remember that restaurant with the eccentric owner who tortures animals?
It didn't take Simona long to recall. Adam Velino. How could I forget?
You arranged a meeting with him a few days ago. My people accepted his invitation instead of you. You should have seen the feast he prepared for you. It was enough for several articles. No more exotic animals in his restaurant.
My God, I was there for lunch today. Felonia was speechless for a moment.
You really can't be let out of the house. What the hell brought you there?
A devil named Malik. A fine devil, I might add. Simona didn't see an answer smile on the officer's face. I thought Adam would poison me.
If I were him, I'd really try. It's a miracle he's still alive.
Malak was with me, and Adam apparently respects him or fears him. Valonia shook her head in disappointment. Then she stopped acting like an angry mother.
Anyway, I have a present for you, but I didn't bring it with me. You'll get it when we return from the mission. As an extra reason for you to stay out of trouble and come back alive.
Thank you, Fel. Simona thanked her sincerely, even though she didn't know what the gift was yet. It didn't matter at all. Getting out of the bed, Felonia picked up her backpack from the floor.
I don't know who's flying with us, but we meet in the living room at 6.
What's on the agenda?
Another position.
Simona couldn't help but smile. So much for all the big talk. And those who promised to show me the real Astrea, but they're giving me the same task that Mikael once did. The pity in Felonia's eyes suggested that this assignment would be quite different.
You mean a case where a man built a bunker in the basement?
Yeah. Felonia made no attempt to change Simona's mind, but before leaving she did give Simona some parting advice.
Try to stick with us on this assignment. Listen carefully to everything we say.
Simona didn't want to waste any time, and she pulled out her hapless travel bag again. The journey ahead was obviously going to be a long one. Following the advice, she took a cute hat out from the wardrobe and changed her clothes. This is a little better. I don't get why they want us to... Nah, I feel like the suit's better. After thinking about it, Simona decided to touch up her makeup as well. Of course. Let's go with the dark one. Simona adjusted her hat and mentally wished herself luck. She was determined to handle whatever her arrogant superiors had in store for her, no matter what. Fortunately, her colleagues had managed to discuss all the details without her. This spared her from having to endure Somnus and Furious. The newly formed team was already waiting for her in the living room. Felonia, CASSIEL, and David.
Oh, witch, we've been waiting for you.
David snatched a travel bag from the evaluator's hands and slung it over his shoulder. Felonia stood up and examined the evaluator's appearance.
Pretty hat. On an insanely pretty woman.
Why did you even bring a hat? The first gust of wind will blow it away. Of course, CASSIEL can be obviously charmed. Simona no longer took offense at CASSIEL's words, only catching the gist. Where exactly are we going?
Northern Ireland.
What? Where? No possessed people closer to home?
The one near us don't admit to being possessed. They just give orders.
The chance to leave the city stirred a thrilling anticipation in her. But not again being separated from Mikael. They are kind of trying to force me into David's arms. With it came the firm belief that all nightmares would stay in the city and not follow them. Do you often go on such distant business trips?
Too often.
Oh, CASSIEL. Simona wasn't against visiting other places. She just felt that things like this should be discussed beforehand with their employers.
If it wasn't for Somnus, you wouldn't be coming with us, much to my regret. We're used to flying long distances alone.
But since Somnus said...
Then we have nothing to discuss.
Velana interrupted the conversation and reminded them that they were already running late. Neither the new nor the old superiors came to see them off. The team piled into a taxi and headed for the airport. Mikael! Despite CASSIEL's claims that they flew very often, it seemed that only Felonia knew her way around the airport. She guided them as if they were children. She gloomily explained what to do, which check-in counter to go to. Simona, who had been there before, obediently followed all of Fel's instructions. Like, We said, do we travel a lot? Yes, probably with wings, but not with the airplane. Simona, who had been there before, obediently followed all of Fel's instructions. If Somnus planned to scare me with the flight, he definitely miscalculated. No matter how hard Simona tried to, she couldn't get a moment alone with David. The rush to get on the airplane stole the opportunity. She was worried that after talking to the bosses, he would decide to have nothing to do with her after all. But David shamelessly threw eloquent looks at her the whole way. That gave her hope that he had sorted everything out. They practically ran onto the plane, but didn't spoil her mood. The spirit of adventure made her head spin, promising that something magical awaited them. That feeling dissipated after a few hours. They had to drive to the place in a rented car, and then walk uphill on a terrible gravel road. The village they were going to was on the edge of a steep cliff. Simona wondered if the possessed could wait until tomorrow. She was exhausted, but she didn't show it. But when the roofs of small houses appeared in the distance, Simona couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. They were supposed to meet us. Felonia spoke to no one in particular and quickened her pace. Simona groaned softly and followed. Do you want me to carry you in my arms? Yes. Simona really wanted to accept the offer, but she refused. No, I refuse. Please carry me. I'm tired of walking. I'm fine, really. That's a lie. You'd better carry yourself with more self-control instead, David. Ooh! Cassiel throwing the shade again. Cassiel caught up with the couple and shot an angry look at David. Ooh! On a mission, in case you forgot. Ooh! I did forget, Cassiel. I forgot everything when I look at our suffering evaluator. Bye, David! Honestly, I'm just living. He has no fucking shame in actually admitting the power we have over him. I love it. Thanks for the reminder. To prevent the squabble from turning into something like their kitchen argument, Simona quickened her pace. If they keep paying this much attention to me at the same time, it won't end well. Nah, it happened like I played. Fortunately, the right house was quite nearby. Felonia checked something on her phone. Then she waved to her colleagues and stopped at the entrance. We'll talk to the couple and then check into the hotel. Simona felt true bliss at Felonia's words. She was mentally already stepping into her bedroom. She was lying on a soft bed and closing her tired eyes. Which one of the couple is possessed? Their daughter. A child? More like a teenager. CASSIEL caught up with the women and knocked on the door. When there was no answer, he knocked harder. I wonder why no one is opening. Did we miss the clients? But how could we have missed them on this narrow path? Maybe we should go around. There were no lights on in the house. CASSIEL peered into the first window and moved to the next. Maybe we should come back in the morning? CASSIEL stepped away from the window. He sighed heavily before addressing Felonia. It looks like we're too late. David rushed to the window and immediately recoiled. He kicked at the first stone he saw. Damn, those idiots in their airplane. And we'll still be the ones responsible for the bodies. Felonia didn't check the truth of David's words. She slowly trudged back to the entrance they all did. Let's go, Simona. You'll wait for us outside. She was distracted from their retreating backs by a faint knock. Simona turned around and took a few steps back. She stared at the empty, lifeless window. The sound came again, and Simona stepped toward it. Maybe the girl's parents aren't dead. Maybe they need help. The source of the sound apparently suddenly and abruptly, almost breaking the glass. Oh my God! I just saw the child! A pale, bloody face grinned broadly in the window. The girl opened the window and leaned her belly against the sill, hanging halfway out of it. Slowly, like a cat, she turned onto her back, her head hanging down. The girl's tangled, dirty, smeared hair almost touched the ground. She scratched at the air with bloody fingers, lazily trying to reach the stunned evaluator. Why me? Why is it always me? Hello, sweetie. Are you here to see Mom and Dad? I would say we need an exorcism. An exorcism at that. Because we can't really make any other assumption because the parents are dead. If we would have more insight, I could make a different analysis that maybe right now she is petrified, or more like she is in a state of shock / denial, that she's not realizing that she actually killed her parents. Or she is just an obsessive. Her parents having eyes for other people, not only for her. And she feels extremely neglected because of that, so she felt the need to be like, if I can have you, no one can. So she decided to murder them all. But we will see what the next episode will be like. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye.